Hello, this is Flurry Moon. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are in a different setting once again because we're playing Stardew Valley, and in honor of Halloween, we will be reading some spooky Reddit stories. These are not ghost stories, they're not demon stories, nothing paranormal like that, or maybe they are. These are all stories from r/glitch in the matrix, and if you don't know what that means, the best way to explain it is an unusual occurrence that cannot logically be explained. This doesn't sound that exciting, but I promise you it is, so we're just gonna get right into it. We'll start small, but it's gonna get absolutely insane. Small content warning, this might freak you out a little bit, but for the most part, it's fun and it's just gonna give you the chills. And we're playing Stardew Valley, so keep in mind, I played this game like a year ago, so I'm just now getting back into it. If I do shit weird, like if I'm not good at the game, don't judge me, but you can leave in the comments how I can be better. For now, just enjoy and let us know how you feel about these stories. My old friend doesn't exist. So I've been stewing on this for a couple of weeks now. Recently, I randomly thought of an old friend that I hadn't seen since graduation. We went to different high schools, but I had a lot of mutual friends and spent a fair amount of time together. So I went to look him up and couldn't find any trace of him on social media. Odd, but not alarming. I found his dad and sister, but neither of their profiles mentioned anything about him on posts or with other family members. I reached out to a mutual friend who went to his school and asked if she'd heard anything about him over the years. She had no clue who I was talking about. Even after showing her a picture of the three of us at a concert, she said she didn't recognize him. They graduated in the same class, so I went and found their senior yearbook online to look him up. He's not in it, anywhere. He was a varsity athlete, had tons of friends. I had plenty of pictures of him. He was at my high school graduation as a spectator, and no one remembers him but me. It seems like he doesn't even exist to his own family. I don't get how a whole person just seems to have been wiped from existence, and it's freaking me out. So that's the post before the update. Top comment. Have you tried directly contacting the family members? Maybe show them one of the pics and ask if they know this person? That's wild your mutual friend doesn't remember your missing friend. OP says, I haven't because honestly I was feeling a little batshit crazy. But I have since contacted a few of our mutual friends, all people that I have photos of us together, and they all say they don't remember him. What do you think? So some of the comments say things along the lines of, I've met people when I was in the military that stopped existing. Maybe he is doing something that requires him not to exist. So that's a thought that a lot of people have, but what gets me is that he's not in the yearbook and the friends don't remember him. That's wild. So the family part doesn't get me as much because they could possibly know why he wants to go under the radar, you know what I mean? And they're probably just covering for their family member. But why would, especially the friend in the concert picture, all three of them went to a concert together and the friend doesn't even remember him?
I guess that raises the question of like, did OP bring in this friend to the concert like after a while so that person who didn't recognize them maybe got blackout drunk and forgot who was there?
Maybe, but the fact that he's also not in his yearbook.
But he was at one point.
No, well, he should have been because he graduated. So weird. So there's a small update. OP says, at this point, I've reached out to 5 friends who have zero idea who he is. You all have given me a few possibilities that I hadn't thought of, so I'm going to check on those. And I went ahead and messaged his sister this morning, and I'm hoping she replies. That is the last update.
You know how like in the Men in Black movies, like they wipe people's memories after they see an alien? So maybe that person was an alien that was pretending to be a human, like they do that in the movie, and then
Maybe.
they see that like cover getting blown, then they're like, okay, and then you're not allowed to like have any memory of the person or what they saw, or it's just like a blank slate, I guess.
So that was OP's last post. They never updated again. Their last comment was from 7 months ago, and it was just a response to one of the commenters, so we might never know.
Yeah, that feels like alien stuff, honestly.
If anything ever comes of this, I will post on my Flurry Moon Instagram. But yeah, I guess we'll move on to the next story. That's not my neighbor. I have thought for the last 2 years that this event was a Mandela effect, but after finding this sub, I'm starting to think maybe it was a glitch. Anyone else have something so blatant happen? I'm hesitant to tell this story. No one believes it, even my husband who saw the whole thing, but here we go. My neighbors directly across the street from me, they're married and expecting a baby. The wife is a tiny blonde woman, very Caucasian, very tiny build. I'm sorry, calling someone very Caucasian is so funny to me. She's white as fuck, you guys. Okay, very Caucasian, very tiny build. We wave to each other daily and yell salutations across the street. She goes into labor and they leave for the hospital. A week later, I see the car has returned, so I bake some cookies to take over and congratulate them. Another day or two goes by and I see a thick brunette lady outside with a baby and I wave, assuming it's a relative that's come to help with the newborn. A few more days pass and I see the husband outside with the brunette and the baby, so I take the cookies over. It's her. It's the wife. Same name, same personality, and the same demeanor, except she's now a thick, kinda tall, brunette Pacific Islander. The husband doesn't acknowledge any difference. She talks to me and treats me the way she always has, but it's a totally different person. My husband noticed as well, and we made some jokes about him wife swapping at the hospital. But since he can't wrap his brain around it, he starts to believe that she's always been this person, even though he clearly remembers her teeny and blonde. I feel like everyone has lost their minds. It's been almost 2 years since that shift and she's still a thick, tall brunette. Then I feel like maybe I've lost my mind. My only consolation is that my husband remembers too, if only vaguely. So that's before updates, but we have quite a few updates in this one. But we're just gonna leave it at that for a second, because imagine if that happened. Like, that's so scary. So, top comment before the updates. Do you happen to have a picture of your neighbor and his original wife? OP says, I wish. That would give me some proof. Unfortunately not. We weren't great friends or anything, just cordial neighbors who saw each other several times a week, exchanging pleasantries and waves. We had gone to a barbecue once with a bunch of neighbors where they were there, but that's the extent of it. Someone says, what about social media? OP says, that's a great idea. I don't use any other than YouTube and Reddit, but I could easily sign up and look her up. Fantastic advice. Purple Dragon 56 says, have you done that yet? OP says, yes. So it looks like she's all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. The accounts are all about 5 years old or less, and they are of the brunette. But when I was Googling, I found one picture of a woman with the same name. Last name is super obscure, on a church website for a church in my town, and it looks like what I remember. I can't say for certain, but given that her last name is really, really unusual, I might have a lead. So OP comments a ton, but we're just gonna get to the first update. Update 1. So I showed the picture I found of her to my husband last night. He's a little bit of a mess about it. The man is not a conspiracy guy at all, but he remembered her. He started asking some questions and tossing around ideas about what could have happened. I convinced him to go to the church this morning and attend their service. I spoke briefly with the pastor and said my neighbor had recommended that I attend. He was grateful she was sending people his way, even though, get this, she hasn't attended since she had the baby. She apparently changed churches to one a little closer when she gave birth, so I don't know where to go next except for putting some feelers out in the neighborhood and finding an excuse to go hang out with her. Update number 2. I'm so sorry that took so long. I didn't want to update until I had spoken directly to my neighbor. So, I endured the heat all week and spent way too much on flowers to plant in an attempt to run into my neighbors. The old lady next door doesn't remember the neighbor's wife having blonde hair, but her middle-aged daughter does. She said, yeah, that was a couple years ago. I don't know why she went so dark. I thought it would wash her out. When I pointed out that it wouldn't wash her out because her complexion is tan now, she looked confused and said that maybe she had been tanning because she did look darker. I pushed it a little further and asked if she also seemed taller, but she seemed stuck on the fact that the very Caucasian blonde woman had gotten tan enough for such dark hair to look natural. She gave me several reasons, but didn't seem convinced either. I also spoke to the changed lady's next door neighbor and mentioned her having blonde hair. Neither he nor his wife remember her ever being blonde. They both agreed she had dark hair on move-in day. What the fuck? Yesterday, I finally cornered changed neighbor lady outside. Changed neighbor lady. I love OP right now. She pulled up with groceries and I offered to help carry them with her. I started talking about the church and how I had spoken with the pastor. She said some really nice stuff about the church, but also that she needed a church closer. That's why she had switched. When I pointed out that her new church was actually further away, she said she had never actually measured it, but it seemed closer. I pointed out that her old church was in our town and her new church is in the next town over, and she said the back roads must just make it seem shorter. Some red flags popped up here because the back roads around here are long, windy roads that circle around our town and pass by all the farmland. It doesn't ever make things go quicker. It's a nice drive, sure, but it always adds a good chunk to drive time. Also, the new church is in the middle of the town, 2 streets over from Main Street, so if you take the back roads, you actually have to circle back to get on the main roads to get to it anyway. It would be much more convenient to take a direct route using the town roads that connect the 2 towns. It's almost a straight shot from the middle of our town to the next town over. I don't know why that bothered me, but it did. After a while of small talk, I brought up the hair. I said that I was trying to go blonde to hide some gray that I have coming in, and did she have any tips? She laughed and said the last time she was blonde, she was in high school and it was a mess, so she didn't recommend it. I pointed out that she was blonde right before having her baby, and she got really weird, almost defensive, and said she hadn't. She had only tried to go blonde that one time in high school and it turned orange, so she dyed it back immediately. I told her I chalked it up to pregnancy brain because she was definitely blonde while she was pregnant. She ended the conversation shortly after and thanked me for the help, but you could tell she was annoyed with me. So guys, not super sure what I learned other than the girl next door to me, old lady's daughter, and I are going to have another chat. She made me feel like she remembered but couldn't wrap her head around it. I'm going back to the church on Sunday to poke around and talk to some more people. Any more ideas? Bro, what's getting me is that she's getting defensive about the hair. It's almost like she knows, but how? So there's a lot of theories on this post. Some federal agents are in undercover marriages. Maybe they needed to switch one with their bio partner as maternity leave. Maybe it was a case of they switch from their assigned partner to keep it somewhat plausible. Who cares if you sound a little insane? Rather than no prego wife and then bam, baby shows up out of nowhere. And that would be more noticeable to blow their cover. I don't get it.
I think it's
switch out their partner. So what they're saying is they think they're undercover agents and they just need to be in like a fake marriage or something.
Yeah.
And they just needed to switch out the wife for whatever reason. Like maybe the blonde girl was pregnant and she couldn't be an agent anymore because she had a baby. No, this makes no sense. Okay, wait.
Did she die in childbirth?
Well, some people are saying maybe what if the husband killed the wife and then replaced her with some woman? Someone said maybe they're government agents or international spies. The original one got pregnant and at the delivery went on leave or to a new assignment and a replacement agent stepped in. That seems plausible, honestly.
Seems very plausible.
You know what that wouldn't explain? Why some of the neighbors don't remember her being blonde. They're like, no, she was always a brunette. Maybe they're in on it?
Maybe.
Like, what? This is, like, messing with my brain. Then wouldn't all the neighbors be like, what happened to the blonde girl? Like, only some of them remember her being blonde. And that's what gets me. Maybe they must be in on it then. Because that's the only way I can explain this. Some people say maybe he kidnapped women to pose as his wife. Okay, this is interesting. Chunky_guts, Jesus, you guys, said blonde woman is husband's sister, which is why they share the same surname, coincidentally have the same first name, and were pregnant simultaneously. Do you get it? So my name is Flurry Moon. Say I have a brother named Scott Moon. Scott Moon, my brother, marries a woman named Flurry. They get married, so she's now Flurry Moon. So my brother's wife, Flurry Moon, and I, Flurry Moon, have the same name. We both get pregnant at the same time. So she could have the same name as his sister. Maybe the blonde woman is his sister.
Just so happened to get married.
And the people just thought they were married. we have one last update. Final update. Sorry it's been so long, and honestly, it's embarrassing. The more I looked into it, the more everyone around me thought I was nuts. I have a nice life, good parents, a husband and kids. They could not understand why I'm obsessed with the neighbor. I'm still very sure of what happened, and I'm still super curious, but I had to back off so my family didn't have me committed. Not really, but they don't get it at all. I started to think they thought I was having a nervous break, so I dropped it. Neighborhood speculation is that they're getting divorced. She took the kid and the car after Viking Dude. Okay, Viking Dude, I think we missed out, but her husband is very tall and big, the guy. Viking Dude got drunk while alone with their kid, hit his head on a counter, and was in a coma for 2 weeks. He came back the same, skinnier, but still blonde Viking guy. I've seen her twice in the last 3 months when she was picking up her and the kids' stuff. I wish I knew what happened. I'd love a conclusion. I never got an answer. And trying to play sleuth made my family think I was losing it. I keep my crazy mostly to myself now. Thank God for Reddit, or I'd never have a chance to toss around ideas. I appreciate the community, and I appreciate you for remembering after this long. I remember too, even if it makes me sound crazy. So that's that on this one. This was posted a year ago. OP still comments on this a lot. There's tons of theories, and I guess we'll never know. I wonder why they're getting divorced. Maybe the new wife couldn't take that people were starting to catch on.
Did she get like an operation to like surgically change her ethnicity or something? Is that even a thing? Like, I don't know.
Well, she's also taller now. It's just a completely different person. That's all the stories we have for today. So make sure to check the description for the links to all these stories. Other than that, I think that's everything. So happy Halloween, and that's all. So bye.